So the next step is to learn how to put the reed onto the mouthpiece so it can give you a good sound for when you come to play the instrument. So in the case you'll get 2 reeds and it'll come into a little box like this. This is a reed protector and the reeds will look like this. Just to note that they are quite delicate because they are quite thin, so obviously they may break, but that's not normal. Especially for beginners, but we do just say just to be careful with them. You have a flat side of the reed here, this side, which is all the same colour, and you have the top side of the reed which has got a little bit of a bump on it, which is obviously a darker colour. That's still got the bamboo on there. So you want the flat side of the reed onto the flat side of the mouthpiece where the main hole is there, and you want to just sit it on nicely. And what I always say is you want to sort of line the top of the reed to the top of the mouthpiece, so you can almost just see the tiniest little bit of mouthpiece at the top, and follow the lines of the flat face on the mouthpiece down. Just hold it with your thumb at the bottom there to keep it in place. Now you want to take the ligature, which is this metal brace here, that this is what keeps the reed in place for you, but it also is fashioned to let the reed vibrate when you play it, and that gives you the sound. So there is a smaller side and a larger side. You want the larger side to go down over the mouthpiece first, and obviously if it's not going down too far, just loosen it with the screws. The reed might move, so you just kind of wiggle it back into place. Push the ligature where you're happy to have it. I always say that you want the top bit of the ligature sitting just sort of where the U at the bottom of the reed is, and just make sure you're happy with the reed sitting there, that it's got lots of space, and just tighten it up as tight as finger tight, not too tight or else you won't be able to get it off again, and your reed's all ready to go. Okay, so we're just going to talk about reeds for a little bit. So you'll get 2 reeds, as I said previous, in this kind of black little case that keeps them protected, and the 2 reeds that you'll get are at a strength of 1.5, so 1.5. For the clarinet you will need to have the B flat clarinet reeds, which kind of when you come to buy them, they'll have a capital B and a lowercase b. That just means it's B flat. That's the key of the instrument. So we would recommend that you start on 1.5 when you're a beginner. The 1.5 is the kind of strength of the reed, so it actually goes to the thickness of the reed. It's very hard to see if you were to compare it against another one, but actually the thickness of the reed here is 1.5, so it is quite thin, which means it's easier to play. As you progress and your embouchure becomes stronger, and your embouchure is the muscles around your face, which is the shape of the mouth that you make when you play clarinet. When that becomes stronger, your reed strength will get higher, so natural progression would be sort of 1.5 to 2, 2.5 to 2 to 2.5. So as I said, 1.5 to start, because they're the ones that we normally recommend for beginners. To change the reed is sort of a personal preference. If the reed just kind of becomes too soft after playing, because the moisture of playing can make it too soft, and the sound just isn't what you want, then it's time to change the reed. We would also say that obviously if it gets chipped or split, then it does need to be changed, because you won't get a very good sound out of it, if a sound at all. So that does need to be thrown away in the bin and just replaced as soon as you can.